Allez.
Okay. Hello, everybody. It's 10:30 a.m. here in Oregon, in the Pacific West. I'm glad that everybody signed up. We have a good participation for this webinar, and it's very exciting to have Jerome Barett with us for this webinar series. So I am Sébastien Marquet. I'm winemaker. I'm also commercial director for Crush to Cellar. And a few months ago, we decided with COVID-19 to organize a series of webinars. The first attempt was a seminar series, but we have to abandon the idea of getting together, and Zoom became very successful. So I'm glad that the webinar is working well, and we decided to change a little bit the webinar way of doing things. We decided to do like a 30 to 40 minutes webinar and not too long. So Jerome accepted to join us for the first webinar with Sparkling Production Series. And so let's have a conversation with Jerome about sparkling. So the sparkling demand increased in USA, in Oregon as well. And Jerome Barett, you are independent sparkling consultant. We will be very happy if you can share your vision and expertise. But before that, I think it's important with the new COVID-19 era, then you can describe where you are and what is your surrounding.
Hello, everybody. So I'm very pleased to be with you tonight. And for this webinar, it's a bit special. It's a bit special for me because I'm not in France or I'm not in America, and I'm very sad about it. But I am in Piedmont and in Italy. I'm having a very good time now, because if I have to tell you where I am now, I am at on the guest room of a very special place in Alba. The place is a restaurant called Piazza Duomo, and Piazza Duomo is a 3-star Michelin restaurant that they're hosting some of their guests for special events. Why I'm here, and it's because the family who owns this restaurant is also a family that I'm working with on a sparkling wine project. That's the reason I'm there. So I'm very privileged to have a new opening of a restaurant 3-star Michelin at the end of the COVID in Italy. It's brand new that they have reopened. So it's a great pleasure that I'm there at the moment. So, but the main reason I'm in Italy now is to develop a new sparkling program with these wineries, and the program is called Monsignore.
Okay, so Jerome, you are where are you coming from? What is your education, your accomplishment? So first, where do you come from?
So very quickly, because I don't want it to be on me, but the most important is to be on the sparkling side of the world. I'm originally from France, born in Paris, Champagne raised, and I'm a winemaker in Champagne since almost 30 years. It was my 30th harvest last year. The last harvest was my 30th harvest, North Hemisphere. I've done a couple of Southern Hemispheres that I'm not counting on the 30 harvest. My background is Champagne first, and then I've been traveling for the past 15, 17 years, kind of all around the world to make some projects. I have had some still wine project and other project, but mostly since 12 years now, I'm focused only on sparkling wines, all kinds of sparkling things.
So you are from Champagne?
Yes, sir.
You got degrees in education in Champagne?
Reims University, yes.
Okay, and so you are consultant and you work worldly. So you have clients all around the world, correct?
Yeah, mostly Eastern Europe, France a bit. Nobody in Champagne, no. I'm working in Italy, Moldova, Georgia, Armenia, and as well in America, where I have share a bit of my time with excellent companies, and I wish that the border will reopen soon, that I can come back.
Okay, great. So we decided to do like 5 to 10 questions for these webinars, and that is the number 1 of the sparkling series. The next one will be a little bit more technical. So before we start, I would love to, if people have some technical question or issue with sparkling, or ideas of question they would like to ask for the next one, please send me email with all your questions. We will retrieve all these questions and put them together for the next webinar series. And we'll have a little bit more target on what people are interested to hear about. So don't forget that, send me questions after this webinar. We'll be retrieving them and preparing the next webinar about that. Okay, so Jerome, what do you think about the sparkling wine business and new project at the moment during the temporary or COVID-19 time?
Yeah, for me, the COVID has been a very break and a stop. But for the sparkling consumption, it has been a real break. Like all the sparkling activities really stopped in March with the COVID coming. Even the wine consumption grow, and especially in America, it grows kind significantly. The consumption of bubbles fell down. Really, and we can say there will be a before and an after the COVID. Before the COVID, you had a real growth, and the Charmat and traditional method were growing significantly in terms of consumption and on terms of production. The example is a Prosecco. The Prosecco have been before the COVID a great success. Some segment for the rosé, and also segment for new packaging like small bottles, cans, and so on. And it was really an optimistic kind of development for the sparkling wine before the COVID. I would say after. So there is a study in America that shown the figures for the growth of consumption. And so the explanation will be sparkling will continue to grow, fruity wines, rosé wines, and the Prosecco segment as well, which was very scheduled to be successful. After the COVID, I think that the people change a bit their way of consumption. Internet has been taken lots of shares. More towards cheaper product, cheaper wines, still wines, or spirits. And the sparkling wines really suffered from this kind of new tendencies, and especially the celebration business like wedding, birthdays, all that kind of venues where people were consuming sparkling wines. Everything disappeared kind of brutally. The other aspect that the people stopped to consume luxury products, and there is a big structural crisis in Champagne about this fell down of consumption of champagne all over the world, because we think about minus 70% consumption during the 2 first months of the COVID. But more objectively, more positively, it will not stay like this. The tendency that the people have to drink more bubbles, more fruity, more rosé, more easy drinking sparkling wines will come back. Probably the new way of consumption will be on the reduction of the sales network, like consuming products which are produced locally or not too far. Finally, to reduce the time of consuming, to order quickly, receive quickly, and enjoy quickly, maybe selfishly at home alone or 2 people, but people will go back on some sparkling consumption as soon as the lockdown will be, in America for me, will be more official, and the figures will get better. Probably I'm a bit optimistic, and this is my personality, but I'm pretty sure that the bubble curve of consumption will go back on a good increase. Probably not for the traditional product, like the champagne. It will be longer for coming back on a good shape.
Okay, so that is interesting. So you are very optimistic in terms of restart of the consumption, and you believe that it will immediately increase when the lockdown will be over and when the activities will restart in the US or in the world right now.
Yeah, personally, I didn't stop to drink or to produce some bubbles, so I want to stay optimistic.
Okay, so that is
okay.
Good, good optimistic view. The second question is, what is necessary for you to start with sparkling project for a winery who is doing still wine only right now? A lot of small winery or medium-sized wineries have 5, 10, 12, label to their offering, and a lot of wineries that I'm visiting or talking with are, always looking the option to add this specific, sparkling label to their offering. So what is the best approach to start that sparkling production?
It's always very tempting, when you have a range or when you have a tasting room to add a new product, and especially to add a sparkling product that the people, they can start with or finish with at the tasting. But it is not an easy decision, because it's important that your identity, your range identity, is linked to what you are doing with a sparkling. People are expecting something from the wineries or from the tasting rooms or from the winemakers, a certain style. And if you put on the table something which is not linked to what you are doing at the moment, in terms of quality, in terms of style, or in terms of packaging, there will be a bit of disappointment somewhere, or a bit of good surprise on the other way. But if you are having a high quality range with very good still wines, and you put on the table an average sparkling, what they will remember, it is the average sparkling, and it will kill a bit the image of the good job you were doing on a still wine. So the first thing is really take the positioning in terms of quality and style that represent your winery or your company. The other thing is put your whole marketing in place before anything. You don't start having a new product, and especially sparkling. You don't start with a sparkling product without having a marketing put in place in terms of price, and the packaging is absolutely important. Third thing, choose a good technology, because you have different options of technology. You have the traditional method, you have the Chamat method, even have the gas addition method, and this is as well a choice that will represent your company. And in terms of positioning and price positioning, it's really important. So it's always complicated to integrate a sparkling project inside an existing brand. Always link this sparkling with your identity. Maybe it's a fantasy, but you should assume to have this fantasy in your range. Maybe it can be a different product, a different positioning, but you need to assume that. Does it make sense?
Yes. So you are saying a winery who produce still wine, who want to develop a sparkling label, need to align the quality of the sparkling, the image of a brand to that general marketing idea. To develop a product who is not aligned with your brand can fail like drastically. So the market study is very important, and that is the idea is, before starting anything, do deep work on your marketing strategy, align your product, and make sure that your product is adapted to your
volumes,
location, brand, and tasting room.
The volumes you are able to sell, and the growth you are able to support in terms of success. If you can have to double your sales, or you know, if you can start with a line and keep drinking your own products without any sales. And for me, this is not a sparkling project. It is like it's a bit of useless thing.
Yeah.
So no, it's important to have to take in consideration that all the positioning, you don't improvise the sparkling project inside an existing company. From zero start projects that you want to start your own business, you want to have your own brand of sparkling wine, it's a bit different because it's more like an adventure, and you can dig longer. Maybe sometimes it takes 5 years to prepare that, but you can be really secure. You can make all the costings before, and you don't have to pay attention on what you have done before. You start something from zero.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. What are the basic steps to succeed in sparkling wine?
So it's important to understand the cycle of the sales, the cycle of the production as well. And this will indicate you the technology you will choose due to the quality you want to have. I explained myself. For example, if you want to have a short aging, fast release, fast sales, you will probably choose the technology will be Charmat or will be gas addition. If you want something more elevated with a longer aging, you will choose probably a traditional method, something more classic. There is still a real addiction for the people for the traditional methods. Who loves wines with a bigger mouthful, a more complexity, and so on. So the technology should correspond to your marketing program, your sales, and all you want to have around the production. So it will give you the cycle of production. So technology, it's important. Then the choice of the grapes, and if you are owning your vineyards, the agronomical practices. The agronomical practices in the sparkling wine industry are completely different from the still wine. And that we can have a webinar on that dedicated to the harvest, but we can go more precisely on that. But the grapes choices and agronomical practices are really important. The capex and the investment on the equipment are really important as well, depend on the size of the production you want to have. And maybe the use of external resources can be a good answer at the beginning of a project. Then again, the style of the wine, the aging duration, if you want to use reserved wine, if you want to produce a vintage or not. So all the question on the consistency of your product, like the style, should it be consistent, always the same taste, that your customers are coming all the time for the same taste, or you want to have vintage, which is always different, is very important. Then the choice of the packaging and the cost around the packaging, because the packaging can be so different and so important for a sparkling project. I'm working on some project with crazy packaging, and believe me, it's very complicated, really complicated. Then if you have other special projects, can be interesting, and some people would be interested to produce other products than wines. That's sparkling, some ciders, some spritzers. Sparkling can be wine, but it can be something else. So it's also important to know if you want to stick to the wine industry or if you want to do something else. In some projects, I'm also doing some ciders sparkling.
Cider sparkling, huh?
Cider sparkling, yeah, traditional method, yeah.
Interesting. Would you advise for a small winery who want to start the sparkling program to, use a custom crush specialist knowledge, or to just invest on basic equipment and go for it?
Yeah, this is this is real the big question that the people want to have the answer when they want to start the project. So what will be my cost, my production costs? Where should be my investment? So you have the two differences between the Charmat and the traditional method. The Charmat is a big, huge investment at the first time because you need to have all the equipment in place even before having the wines. And the traditional method, because of the duration of the cycles, the aging on the bottles and everything, you will have investment on different phases. It can be on 2 years or on 3 years. When you start a program, for you to understand, and on the smaller scales, on small volumes, I would highly advise to use external resources. It will help you to master your cost, production cost. It will help you to understand what's going on with your wine becoming sparkling. You will have fixed cost and no bad surprises. And you will understand the technology if you don't know anything about the technology. So there are professionals for that, for the traditional method or for the Charmat. So if you start with a project, I would start with an external servicing, just for understanding and having a product made by a professional without negative surprises.
So you have a fixed cost with using a professional custom crush specialist is, I think, the way to go. No surprise from the beginning. You get the expertise from a professional who is doing that every day, every year. So yes, it's the way to go, I believe, for small size, medium size wineries. Have that bigger project, that can be discussed. You have a profitability, you have a space, all this equipment, you need space. It's a lot of space, storage. You need to store your wine for a long time for sparkling if you want to do a traditional method. So I think professional is the way to go for sure.
Yeah, definitely. After that, you become an artisan and you do everything at home. And the next extension of being an artisan in the easiest way is to produce Petnat. But where is the interest? The main thing is put your own targets on what you want from your sparkling program. And then if it's really serious, start with an external resources. For the very technical part of it, you can still crush the grape at your own place. You can still press your own, do your own base wines under a certain types of requirement. But for the secondary steps, which is the bottling, which is the riddling, disgorging, and all that type of things, I advise to start with an external custom crush.
Okay, so I have a question about the grapes. What are the main differences of practice between grapes from sparkling or still wine? So if you had to start a project from scratch and you have to plant a vineyard, it's a long conversation here because between the grape varietal, the different clones, and etc. So what would you say the difference between a grape to produce still wine are with a sparkling wine grape?
It's an excellent question. It is a key question everywhere in the world. I'm having this problem and this question in the UK programs that I'm developing now, and we are highly planted vineyards, and the choice of the grapes is really important. So it depends where you are geographically, northern hemisphere, southern hemisphere, how the grapes are reacting to the growing. Basically, even you do still wines. Do you have local indigenous grapes varietal that you may use for a sparkling wine that can be interesting? Do you want to go on something very classical? And if you go classical, you will be on some white grapes. Chardonnay is the easiest, of course. Chardonnay is everywhere. But you can go Riesling, you can go Pinot Blanc, you can go Chenin Blanc, you can go Colombard, you can go. The options are multiple, really multiple. What's important is where you will have the best control, master, and I would say grapes that brings you freshness. because you know there is nothing worse than a very flabby sparkling wine. So you need to have a bit of acidity for doing a sparkling wine. So it's important that you choose your grape varietals, your terroir, and the place you will develop your sparkling program, with bringing this difference between the still and the sparkling on the freshness. And this is really a key thing, that you will choose grapes which are giving already good results on the sparkling programs, or which having a natural acidity as well. Not too much, huh?
pH of harvest date, pH capital. You know, it's a big advantage on the rainy region, East Coast of United States. Can be challenging with the weather condition in September or October. So sparkling can be a good way, because you can harvest mid-August or early September before the rain come in. So sparkling can be an option for that type of region for sure.
Yeah, completely. You know, the sparkling programs are sometimes starting because people can't do anything else. They say, okay, we try to do a still wines, but we don't have the alcohol enough, or we don't have, and we have high acidity. So by force, people are orientating themselves on the sparkling program. Probably, and I would say UK is the best example, but now you start to have some good still wines as well in UK. So it's it started with the sparkling, and now it brings to the still.
So I have another question. I have a couple of other questions. Some are very technical about, you know, 120 psi pressure vessel to make a sparkling wine. So we will not go through this technical question now. We will, you know, I collect all these questions, and I will keep them and send that to Jerome, and we'll send you a personal email with answer to this specific question. I have another question: is what's the minimum liters of volume of wine do you need to invest in, and you know, to make sparkling? How much investment that would require, and what is the minimum quantity can we do? So that is something. It's a long answer. It's not a specific answer. It depends what is your target, how much wine you want to produce, and how, you know, you have so many type of equipment. So same thing. I will put this answer on the email to Jerome, and Jerome will come back to you with some ideas if you want to start a sparkling project. So some good question coming up. If I see one who is adapted to the questionnaire that we have right now, I will put it in. Otherwise, if it's too technical, I will send them to Jerome, and he will answer to you directly.
Yeah, the idea is as well to create a short webinar, and to come back more technical, to come to more on the process very specifically, very shortly, because, you know, I'm tired as well about the webinar, and it's getting boring. I prefer meeting people face to face. So
all these technical questions, I will send it to you, and I will put you in contact with the people. But the next question is, what are the new tendencies in sparkling wine production around the world? So
yeah, so the new tendency is like all the new projects I'm working with now, people keep going on. There is no crisis for them. They continue to invest. They continue to go straight to plant vineyards. So there is kind of trust in what will be the sparkling wine later. The tendency is entering a competition with a Prosecco, specifically on the local market. The Prosecco and the Italian Prosecco has opened so many doors on markets everywhere in the world that now people in every country wants to kind of copy the Prosecco Charmat method, which is a very flexible method to get some market shares from the Prosecco. This is a tendency. The other tendency is getting new packaging, smaller packaging, cans, half bottle, 375 ml, and other closer types than the traditional champagne cork with the muselet. For example, some Frisante with screw caps. all that kind of products are coming out on the market now, and so the new orientation for companies which are producing sparkling is going through this kind of tendency to attract a new category of consumers. Other tendency is having traditional methods with shorter aging and the use of technology of encapsulated yeast, which avoid the riddling. So you win one step in terms of the process. Another thing is the use of unusual varietals, that people are having indigenous varietals and they want to do a product with a lot of identity and a lot of character that nobody else is having. So for example, I'm working in a project for 5 years now in Armenia on real only indigenous grapes. And the results is absolutely fantastic. The pet nuts, you know, the organo-biodynamic orientation of the people and the consumption of pet nut is growing. I'm okay with that. It's a bit, pet nut is a sparkling wine for lazy people. But there is a big orientation. It's easy to do, but the main problem is who are consuming pet nut and who will consume pet nut next decades, next 10 years. And then a lot of things are done with making sparkling other products than wines from the wineries. Wineries also want to have other products sparkling. So using the gas, whatever, and having new products, new category of products to bring the new categories of consumers, and especially the young ones, to come closer to them and then to know them better. This is a kind of new tendency I can see, and this is a question I got from my clients as well.
So we have a lot of new orientation according to your description here. It's interesting to see that it's not something in concrete, and people are experiencing and exploring different horizons, and so it's fascinating to see then wineries still take some chance and risks in terms of development with new label, new concept, and new ideas.
Yeah, definitely. Everything is sparkling at the moment, so not really now, but it will be back on the sparkling. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, the question number 5 is what is the most craziest sparkling experience you had in the last couple of years?
A crazy experience is the one I will leave in something like 30 minutes, because I will have a 3-star Michelin dinner full. So it is something unusual in the project. So if I have clients listening, say this is the kind of things I love to be treated with. About my bubble life, one of the most craziest thing is I have been asked to make some sparkling banana wines in Guadeloupe. Which was completely unusual. Or a guy who asked me to start a 1 million bottles capacity per month, so it is 12 million bottles per year, to start a factory from a zero in 6 months' time. It was really crazy, lots of work. And then the new countries adventure like Armenia, Georgia, UK, where the wine is somewhere very important, but the sparkling wine is not a real way of life. So it's really interesting, really interesting on that point of view.
And in the US, have you been involved with some project lately, or new project, or can you share some project you've done here in US?
Yeah, the US is a big market for bubbles, and it will continue to be a big market for bubbles, and especially you know, this new tendency to get market shares from other producers or other country producing. Yeah, I'm always having a good connection and continuation of the project I have managed, traditional method, Charmat method, and it will continue, I hope, as soon as the borders will reopen. Yeah, I can't really talk about the experience because it's a bit secret, but yeah, I got 4, 5, 6 programs going on with the sparkling wines.
Okay.
And winery which is starting new projects.
Is the method Charmat is what people are focusing the most right now, or a lot of people want to develop like traditional method?
I would say there is 2 tendencies. If you want to put to have a high quality products like a premium sparkling wine, you will start a traditional program, and from zero till the end, like from the agronomy till the aging until the disgorging. So it's a long-term investment. But globally, most of the programs are orientated to the Charmat. Why? Because the turnover of the product is faster. So the return of the money is faster as well. And the results of the consumption and the consumers is faster. So it's easier. Charmat is much easier. But in terms of quality, you will have a category of products that you will probably never reach or you will never compete a traditional method. So if you want a premium program, go to the traditional for me. And if you want something faster with a shorter turnover, go to the Charmat.
Great. Well, thank you, Jerome, all for your answers. You know, everybody understood that it was more like a overhaul of a sparkling, conversation in the world and what is, hip right now, or what the difficulties are with COVID-19. The next webinar will be more focused with technical questions. So please send us your technical question. We'll do another 30 to 40 minutes webinar in next month, certainly. And from there, we will do, I will invite also Sebastian Traviesa, who worked for a nursery. So I asked him to prepare something about grape and clones and varietals. So we will also have him to join us to talk about grape varietal for sparkling production specifically. So thank you, Jerome, again. I know you eager to go start your dinner at the 3-star Michelin restaurant. And we want to thank you for participating to that technical seminar. Please send us the question. I repeat again, I will forward this question with Jerome. And also Jerome will be coming to the US as soon as possible when the border will reopen for him. And then we'll be able to visit client in US. So send us your question. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Crush to Cellar, for the opportunity to develop this webinar series. Don't forget that we are a one-stop shop for all the winemaking product and winery supply that you need. And we'll be welcome to get your business. So please contact us. Also, very important, all this webinar will be collected, recorded, and stored to our website. So everybody will be able to go back to listen to them. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you, Jerome.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day. And thank you, Sébastien.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. Thank you.
Bye. Ciao.